Jon Rahm just got handed the most brutal reality check in professional golf, and he brought every single bit of it on himself. A $300 million contract, 2 major championships, and right now, zero clear path back to the biggest stages in golf. The story of Jon Rahm in 2026 isn't just about money. It's about a man who gambled his entire prime on a bet that is now collapsing underneath him, and the PGA Tour just made sure he knows exactly how alone he is. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why Rahm's situation is more dangerous than anyone is saying out loud. Back in January 2026, the PGA Tour quietly opened what might have been Jon Rahm's last real escape route. The returning member program, a special offer extended to only 4 LIV players, Brooks Koepka, Cameron Smith, Bryson DeChambeau, and Jon Rahm. The deal was simple. If you won a major or the Players' Championship since 2022, you could come back immediately with expedited reinstatement. Koepka took it. He swallowed the penalties, crossed back over, and showed up in PGA Tour field at the start of 2026. Rahm? 3 sentences. He said he wasn't going anywhere. His answer was very similar to Bryson's, and he wished Brooks the best. That was it. And on February 1st, the door closed. Now here's where it gets serious. Because what happened after February 1st is what nobody saw coming at full speed. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the money behind LIV Golf, announced it would pull its funding from the league at the end of 2026. Let that sink in. The organization Rahm chose over the PGA Tour, the league he signed a reported $300 million deal with, is now fighting for its own survival. And then Brian Rolapp, the new PGA Tour CEO, sat down with the media and said the words Rahm needed to hear, but absolutely did not want to. The returning member program was a particular program for a specific time, and it has gone away. No anger, no drama, just facts, and that calm, unbothered tone. That is the most dangerous thing Rahm has heard in years. Quick question for the Rick Analysis PGA community. If you think Rahm made the wrong call turning down January's offer, drop wrong call in the comments. If you think the $300 million was worth whatever comes next, drop worth it. I read every single one, and we'll talk about it. To really understand the weight of this moment, you have to understand who Jon Rahm actually is. Born in the Basque Country of Spain in 1994, came to America for Arizona State, dominated college golf, turned professional without losing a step. He rose to world number 1. Won the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines in 2021 with some of the most precise ball striking you'll ever see. Won the Masters in 2023. A legitimate generational talent. The kind of player who doesn't just win majors. He owns the moment when it arrives. His departure from the PGA Tour in October 2023 was a one that genuinely stunned the golf world. A framework agreement between the Tour and Saudi PIF was already in place. Players had been told to wait, that things were being handled, that nobody needed to make a drastic individual decision. Rahm made one anyway. $300 million. LIV Golf. Legion 13. He was the biggest name to ever cross that divide, and his departure told everyone watching that the framework process had already quietly failed. Now let's talk about what the money didn't buy. On LIV, Rahm won the Andalusia event. He showed flashes of the brilliance that made him a 2-time major champion. But here's the problem nobody talks about enough. LIV Golf does not award world ranking points. His ranking has been eroding steadily. The competitive depth he was sharpening himself against, it is not a PGA Tour field. The weekly grind, the pressure reps, the rhythm that Tour players build across a full season. LIV simply cannot replicate that. The version of Rahm who walked Augusta's back 9 with momentum, who stood on 18 at Torrey Pines and delivered, that version was built by years of high-level weekly competition. That infrastructure has been quietly dismantling itself. Here's what I want you to think about as we go deeper. And this is a part of the story most channels are completely skipping over. Stay locked in, because in about 2 minutes we're going to get to the single most painful consequence of all of this, and it has nothing to do with money. Here is where Rahm's situation gets genuinely complicated in a way that DeChambeau's does not. Bryson's LIV contract runs through the end of 2026. There's at least a timeline. a horizon. Rahm's deal reportedly extends beyond 2026, which means even if LIV collapses entirely, even if the league ceases to exist, Rahm may still be legally bound to an entity that has no functioning product to put him in. What happens to a $300 million contract when the organization that signed it runs out of money? Who decides if it's still enforceable? These are questions for lawyers working for months, not journalists working for days. And the PGA Tour? Rolapp was clear. They will react to circumstances when those circumstances exist. They are not building a rescue operation for Jon Rahm. If he wants back, here is the actual path. Navigate whatever contractual obligations he still carries, then serve a 1-year ban from his last LIV event under standard reinstatement rules, then return, without the special conditions that Koepka used in January. Longer, harder, and getting no easier. Now, the moment I told you to stay for. The 2027 Ryder Cup, Adare Manor, Ireland, European soil, Rahm's home continent. The kind of stage he was practically born to command. He captained Europe with absolute ferocity in 2023. He is the heart of that team when he is eligible. He is not eligible. And the timeline to become eligible, reinstatement, ranking rebuild, tour status, may simply not fit before the 2027 team is selected. Missing the Ryder Cup at Adare Manor because of contract complications will be the most personally painful consequence of everything Rahm chose. Not the money, not the ranking. That, we're almost at the conclusion, and I want to ask you something directly. Do you think there's a version of this story that ends well for Rahm? Drop your honest prediction in the comments. Best take gets pinned at the top. Jon Rahm is 30 years old. Right now, this week, his name is technically in the U.S. Open field at Shinnecock Hills because past champions retain that right, but where he competes in 2027, 2028, and beyond, completely unresolved. He told the world he was not planning on going anywhere. The brutal irony is that right now, he may not have anywhere to go. The talent is real. Major champions have returned from long absences and competed at the highest level. The question is whether the contract, the reinstatement clock, the Ryder Cup eligibility, and the ranking rebuild can all be sequenced correctly while he is still in his absolute prime. That window is narrowing, and the PGA Tour is watching from a very comfortable distance. If this video untangled the situation for you, hit subscribe right now, because this story is not over. LIV's funding situation, Rahm's contract status, the 2027 Ryder Cup selection timeline. Every one of those is a new chapter, and Rick Analysis PGA is going to be there for every single one of them. New video dropping this week on what LIV's collapse actually means for every player still under contract. You do not want to miss that one.